We're going to have Alderman Samuel Williams pray for us this evening.
Would you bow your heads, please? Our dear Father, we come to you, Lord. Thank you for all the blessing you bestow on us and the grace you serve us with, Lord. We ask for your guidance as we in these meetings. We ask for ones out there that's hurting, that need your comfort, Lord. You comfort them, Lord. Bless this city and bless everyone in it, Lord. We ask this thing in thy holy name. Amen.
Alderman Dennis will lead us in the pledge. Before we move forward this evening, we will acknowledge the Employee of the Month, Greg Cupstead. Greg Cupstead is on vacation, so he is currently not here tonight, but Greg is our department head over Building and Grounds. He has a lot of knowledge about construction, and he's doing a lot of things throughout the city. He took over that role, and it's amazing about what his knowledge is and how much he helps with different type of projects. He can do finished jobs and things of that nature, which saves the city money, and he knows what he's talking about. So I've started something new for the department heads in the room. We're going to start implementing department heads for Employee of the Month. I think it's gone for a while where we for different departments. I think that's fair moving forward. Not every month, but we're going to implement that as we celebrate our employees. But Greg does an outstanding job. And the Pearl Police Department's Employee of the Month, I'm going to let Chief McClendon come up and acknowledge her.
Yeah, our Employee of the Month was Mindy. I'm an admin assistant to the Chief's office, and she has been a blessing. We would not be where we are at today without Mindy. You know, I stole her from Richland. She was an HR director over there. She has a wealth of knowledge. And just one of the biggest things I told the mayor about her is oftentimes I ask somebody to do something, I have to check up and make sure it's done. With Mindy, if I give her a task, I don't ever have to ask. I know it's done. And that's so beneficial in our office that me, Kyle, John Williams, anybody can go ask her to do something and you don't have to worry about if it's done. It's done. So she is part of the team that we have built, and we wouldn't be where we were at today without her. So she had to pick up her kid. That's why she's not here, but we appreciate her very much.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Chief.
All items under this heading will be considered to be approved with one motion and one vote. If further discussion is desired on any item, it will automatically be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered as a general business item.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
There's two motions on the floor. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Madam Clerk?
Public hearing number one, consider a request by Greg Brassfield for the conditional use permit to operate a barber shop at 2705 Old Brandon Road.
Mr. Brassfield, are you here this evening? Yes, sir. Yeah, do you mind approaching the podium, please? I understand you've been operating in Pearl for a while now.
Yes, sir, I have.
How many years total?
Almost 10 now.
Okay. All right.
So, like I said, I'm not a new business coming in. I'm an existing business. I was over on
White Boulevard.
yeah, right Boulevard. And what happened was American Legion came in and bought the building. And I had to move pretty quickly to get out of there. It was within a month and a half. Like I said, I'm not a new business. I'm an existing business. And I'm just moving my business to another location, which I was able to move into with 3D, and they accommodated me to be able to come in and be able to do my business in that area. So I was appreciative that y'all were able to let me come and speak to you today. I'm a little nervous because this is, I ain't never been here before.
You're at home. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So I was in, let me tell you a little bit about myself. 20 years I was in Jackson. And so the 20 years that I've been over there, crime got a little bad over in that area I was in. So what I ended up doing is I came over to Pearl, and Pearl has just opened their arms to me, and my business took off. And so we really love the area, my clients love the area, and we just, you know, in the process of moving fast, because I had to get out there within a month and a half because they had bought the building and they took over. And so in the process of that, it was a typo on my part. I did not know that I needed to check to see how to move into this area, if I needed to move my location. So within that time, I had no idea trying to break any laws or break any rules. It was totally a mishap on my part. But at the same time, I've sunk almost thousands of dollars into this new location. And so the new location that I'm in, if y'all don't let me stay, I'm gonna lose that money.
Well,
So-
I think this board's pretty reasonable and sees what you're up against here.
Yeah,
What building is this?
I'm over on 2705 Old Brandon Road.
Where the Alamo building on St. Paul,
Yeah,
No.
Crown
right. And so my clients, they love this area and they want to continue staying over there. I want to continue staying over there. So if y'all would approve that and let me stay, I would love to stay.
Brad, do you mind stepping to the podium?
Yeah, like I said, given the circumstances, he's, been displaced from, over on White's. I mean, like I said, I would recommend being an existing business. So I would recommend approving the conditional use.
All right, discussion, anybody here to speak in opposition to that? If not, there's two motions on the floor. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. You're approved, sir.
Thank you.
You have a good evening.
I'm sorry I was so nervous.
Thank you.
Number two, consider requested by Rebel Enterprise LLC for conditional use permit to allow outside storage on the property located at 2521 Highway 80 East.
I don't think anybody knows this fellow right here.
I've either crossed paths or met or know everybody else in this about it. Well, I'm Dunaway Rooks. That's my brother Tim Rooks. Joe couldn't be with us. He's the other partner in the business. We bought the lot adjacent to our outdoor power center. It's a big blue building over on 80. I'm sure most of you know where it's at. And we have got really good plans to improve the property. We've already started on it. And we're going to have a good outdoor display for trailers and zero-turn mowers, basically. And everything's new. We don't have any used equipment over there. We're not going to, we don't have any plans to do anything but what we're talking about now. And I think it'll be an enhancement to that area, considering, there's really been nothing there for a long time. And you hate a vacant lot. So I believe that we could really make it look better over there, and it'd definitely be enhancement to the community and our business. I'm going to let Tim take over because he's got a background in construction. He's been working with Brad on the plot and everything. Y'all have to forgive me. Normally we would turn this in earlier, but we just today got the official drawings and all preliminary of what we're going to try to do. So can I pass those out?
Yes, sir.
Is that okay?
So I apologize first off for the resolution on some of these. The landscape architect who was working on this kind of dropped the ball when I called him in a panic last night. He said, "Oh, I'm heading to the coast right now." So he did this from his hotel room, and it wasn't quite as what I had expected. So basically, next to the lot there, we've since cut down all the light towers and hauled off all the tires, and flattened the lot out. We're going to build, you can see that fence is drawn on there. That's a Good Neighbor fence. It's 8 foot tall. You're familiar with the Good Neighbor. It was the best looking architectural fence we could come up with. There will be a gate over there if approved. That is so we can, the problem we're having in outdoor power, probably the primary reason we bought this lot, which I think Dunaway and Joe wanted it. I didn't really want to spend the money, but we have a problem with trailers and commercial and City of Pearl. You know, we sell lawnmowers and service lawn. Well, they're parking in the frontage road. They're parking in the, so I was like, we have to have a way to handle this. So really, the primary reason we bought this lot was to have a way to have an egress and a way for trailers and stuff. So our intention, if you go to that next page, our intention is to do a through cut on our parking lot up there, and any trailers pulling into Revel, as you've probably seen them parked out in the frontage roads and stuff, will now pull into this adjacent lot next door so that we can unload or load whatever they're there to get and not block up the entranceways or the frontage road. And also to display, we're going to put up that Good Neighbor fence. That's the green line. And then we're going to attach the existing rear cyclone fence that we have, that area that says aggregate. There's an existing cyclone fence around the back of this lot. We're going to extend our cyclone fence up to the existing cyclone fence, which we're actually having to replace, and we had to cut down that tree that was falling over on the fence so that we can pull lawnmowers and trailers if people picking up service, but it'll all be contained behind the wood fence. So any lawnmowers waiting to be picked up or anything, but we will be able to load them out of this adjacent lot instead of over here in the frontage road or in the thing on the side drive to our parking lot. Other than that, we just wanted to clean it up, make it look nice and smooth. We're getting quotes right now on seal coating the entire lot to make it all uniform asphalt. When they took the old J.D. Byrider building out, it's a little different color asphalt. It's a little uneven. So we're looking at doing an entire seal coat to make it look like a real uniform, even. It does have an existing rail fence around it now. It's painted kind of a neutral gray color. And so we're going to leave it some kind of neutral color, but probably repaint it. And there's a couple bent spots that we'll replace and straighten up. Other than that, that's pretty much all we're trying to do, and have conditional use to where we can have outside displays that will be kept nice and organized and stuff.
Brad, you mind stepping to the podium, please?
Yeah. Like he was saying, they have done a good amount of work over there so far, by saw cutting all the light pole bases. What they got out there now is organized. You can see what they got. One thing I would recommend before you commit to a wood fence, our architect review board on fences and that sort of thing, they do need to be submitted before they're, installed, purchased. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you, they kind of straying from the wood on commercial jobs, commercial businesses. They would rather see more of a chain link, with the slat screenings in them. That's kind of what they're approving right now. So.
Okay, how soon could that be done? Because I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, like I said,
way less expensive than what we're talking about.
Right, yeah. I mean, like I said, wood, it just, it just doesn't hold up in the sun. It doesn't, boards get, it's just a better fence and less maintenance on them. So, but yeah, like I say, before you commit.
If you could get with him and just a submittal
Right.
and we can get it to Jamie can review it, we can get it turned around in a day.
Oh,
It's not like,
that's right.
it's all email transaction. We'll
That's
try to expedite that.
I looked a little nervous here. I've designed and built a hardware store on the Parkway in Clinton. And we purchased the land, and it took 7 months of meetings and reviews to build what, in essence, is the most beautiful hardware store in the southeast United States.
No, it's not going to.
I could not believe that. I was like, oh my gosh, we're not starting over.
Yeah,
No.
We like I say,
Hey, so I'll put, And Clinton's, business growth hadn't increased 52% like Pearl. So there's a reason for that. We try to have some
Yes.
standards, but we try to work with people.
I would love to do that, although I don't, now, I will say the good neighbor fence, the reason we're doing the good neighbor is, I went and met with the fence contractor, and I was like, look, I want 4 runners, because I know how these things go, they get warpy and stuff. And while I was at it, the fence on the other side, where we put a iron, and we have wood fence over there, I went and looked at that gate scenario, and I was like, well, we're gonna redo all this too. Because it's 8, 9, 10 years old, the boards are getting a little wobbly, but also there was only 3 runners on it, so it wasn't really built, it wasn't a good neighbor, you know.
No, that's
so-
right.
But yeah, whatever y'all wanna do, I'll be glad
Yeah,
to
I
do.
could, it's not gonna be 7 months, it's gonna be a day.
That's right.
But yeah, I don't have a problem with the cyclone fence, and even the black vinyl coated cyclone, we've done that before with the slats and stuff. We will be staining this fence, so I'll have the architect draw up a section
Okay.
and where they can say, you know, we're gonna take care of it. It probably would look better than cyclone, but whatever y'all want, we're gonna do.
We
So,
would prefer modes because of maintenance and from the
Yeah.
look from the corridor. And that's what our architectural standards require.
okay.
With that being said, Brad, you make sure he gets the information and get that
Right.
turned around. Is there any questions by the board this time for Mr. Brooks? If not, is there anybody here to speak in opposition of it? Is there a motion? Two motions on the floor. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. No nays. Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Approved. Yes, sir. You have a good evening.
Yes.
Public hearing, 21
Yeah, sounds good.
determine whether or not the owners and those certain parcels of real property which are listed herein are in such a condition or state as to be unsightly and unkept or otherwise offensive to public health and safety of the community, and therefore prohibited pursuant to chapter 24 of the Code of Ordinance of the City of Pearl, Mississippi, in section 21-1911 of Mississippi Code of 1972 as amended.
Is anyone here representing 2051 Carolyn Lane? 2051 Carolyn Lane. All right, Brad, you tell us a little bit about this property. It was submitted because of unsightly conditions.
Yeah, originally, when we first noticed the property, you could tell somebody had bought the home, I guess, getting ready to renovate it, flip it. But they had put a lot of stuff out in the carport, on the side of the carport, that sort of thing. But since that time, that's been cleaned up. We did notice the property, you know, for 21-1911 to see what their intentions were. But at this time, since that time, they've been over there for the past 2 weeks working. So, I mean, you can tell I looked in the windows today, they're painting, you know, they done took all of the siding off of the house. Yeah, it's gone, they're prepping for new, it's, you know, so we see a movement on it now. So I think the deal. Well, we can continue it for 45 days if you want to, just to see where we at
I
from
would
there.
rather continue it to December 3rd.
Okay, and
I
just
mean,
kind of
if
see
the
where
board,
we at.
if the board's up for it, I mean, if they'll
Right.
approve that, just 30
Yeah.
days, we have one board
Like I
meeting in
said-
December.
Yeah, and like I say, in that backyard, you can see where, I mean, the backyard was just overgrown, the fence lines, they've cleaned all that, that's right. Yeah, they've been over there working, so,
Well, that gives you an opportunity to run into somebody over there and get the
Yeah.
contact information and just stay up to date.
that's right. That'll work.
Is there a motion to entertain? There's two motions on the floor. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it.
Number 4, Lamar Elwood, located at 3539 Old Brandon Road, Pearl, Rankin County, Mississippi, 39208.
Is anyone here representing that property? Yes, sir. Do you mind approaching the podium, please, sir?
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Actually, that's not 3539. If you can see, look to the right, when you see the beige, that's the barber shop, and that's 3539. That's the building that sits on the same lot. It's about my age. I'll be 46 Sunday. So It needs a facelift. Have not decided exactly what we wanted to do with it. But it does need a facelift, and we had made plans to go in. As you can see toward the back, there was a gutter failed toward the back because the wood is rotten. So, of course, it failed. And on the other side of the property, I'm sure you got the picture, see all the rotten wood around there, old unit, and on the right there, that's about, what, 6 section of board that just failed because it's old. The building is old, need to be updated. Hadn't decided what we were going to do with it. This is my sister. We both are in mental health. So we thought about actually transforming that building into a mental health center where we could service the community in those areas. But that's the gutter I was telling you about. But I will tell you that the 3539 that's beside it, I wish there were pictures of it. It does serve as a testament to the updates that I have done to that particular property. It looked just like that building over 10 years ago when I first got in it. But of course, you can see I transformed it. So it is a testament to some of the work that I have done. It's not listed, but there's also another property, Allison's Restaurant Bar and Grill on Highway 80 East. Not listed, but I talked with Brad. He was telling me some things that also need to be done with that property. Extended asphalt on the side of the building. There's a sign where the weather has blown and it's leaning. We need to fix that and some more things. But according to these pictures here, that's what you see. Just an old building that needs a facelift.
Well,
Yeah, like I say, the 35, when you pull it up on the parcel, for that, the 3539 includes both buildings.
Yeah. I have the
Yeah.
actual address.
So that's the actual address
I know
that
this
pulls
probably
up.
was showing, but I have
That's
the
right.
actual
That's
address.
where Rankin
And the
County
parcel.
has it. But yeah, like I say, as you can see, it's gonna take a facelift
Oh,
on
yeah.
this one. That's right.
It takes a facelift.
I mean, like I say, before you do anything, commit to anything, we need to get a scope of work of what's gonna be done, because that has to go through the architect review board, so, at this point, I would recommend that we proceed with the 21-19-11 and giving him 45 days to submit plans on plan of action of renovating the building.
So my question would be to the board, once we do the renovations and actually give it a facelift and some curb appeal, would the board be opposed to any outreach ministry or any mental health facilities being put in the building?
I think the board will be open to it, but I know that we got a non-conforming, and we have a lot of commercial property maintenance that needs to be addressed on this building. I think once we get that addressed, then we can probably talk more about a business being backfilled in it. And 45 days is our standard measure, what we give everybody. That's the same thing across the board, because we want to be fair and equitable. But Brad, as always, your building next to it it is conforming. So, but Brad, I just want to make sure that we communicate correctly as well and try to help be a partner along to try to guide him in the right direction as he moves
Yeah.
forward.
That's right.
Okay?
We'll do it.
All right?
Okay, so Brad, I get with you on the next phase.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. All right, is then, Brad's recommendation is adjudication 21-19-11, however, give him 45 days to get into compliance, and then we'll get that scope of work, get through the architectural rendering, and just like I told Mr. Brooks beforehand, it's not a struggle to get through the architectural rendering. We're just trying to, one reason that's in place, the architectural review board, is to bring standards up, make our city look nice, and build civic pride. So with that being said, is there anyone here to speak in opposition to this? If not, is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
Question. To be clear, it's 45 days to meet with the architectural review board and have a plan, not to renovate.
Right. That's correct, yeah. Just to get renderings approved. That's correct, yeah.
Make a motion. It's not for a specific use right now. There are very stringent design standards when you go to mental health and different hypotheses of what's there right now.
That's correct.
So if you do have a proposed use, obviously you'll need to submit, talk to community development and make sure whatever the use that you're proposing conforms with what it's zoned, right? And to make sure that they know on the front end so they can properly advise you. So you don't build it for one thing, but that's something that's prohibited there, right? So make sure you're communicating with their department to everybody's on the same page.
Yes.
But the clear focus at this time, I think, I can speak for the board, is the outside's got to get conforming. The inside might be different for a business, but the outside has to get conforming with our commercial property maintenance code. So there's a motion on the floor by Alderman Knight. Is there a second? Second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Y'all have a good evening.
Number 5, Beacon Capital LLC and located at 402 Volunteer Road, Straw, Mississippi, County, Pearl, Rankin County, Mississippi 39208.
Is anyone here representing that property? 402 Valentour? I don't think so. There's a tree through the house, so no, I don't think anybody's there.
The bad thing about it is this house was almost completely remodeled when this happened.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. But,
Brad,
Yeah,
you
like I
just,
said, we-
Going down, please.
yeah, we did speak with the gentleman that owns the property. He did, tell us that he was fixing to have it demoed. He just hadn't moved on it, so we're here to persuade him to make a move. So I would recommend that the board take action and remove the structure from the property.
Second. Discussion. Anyone here to speak in opposition to that? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any nays? Ayes have it. Moving forward.
Number 6, Cheryl A. Ratcliffe and located at 3525 Patterson Drive, Pearl, Rankin County, Mississippi 39208.
Hey, Mr. Ratcliffe, how are you this evening?
Property, my mom's been sick for some time. She's been staying some with my brother. And we had we're paying somebody to kind of keep up the grass on the front and all that, but they weren't going in the back. And then there's some stuff that's been back there that we've been back. I actually went back and pushed, trimmed it down all the way down, but still, that vines, I guess it's kudzu or whatever that thing is, that thing grows quick. But what we're wanting to do is clean it up, and we're looking to see about, she's in so bad health, we're going to be selling it. And I know there's been a couple people that reached out to me as far as, hey, Alderman Dennis has talked to me, and other people I called too regarding that. But you can see where we trimmed it down some, but there's still more. There's boards missing. It needs to be fully uplifted.
Yeah, in my experience too, did you grow up in that house?
I did.
So it's tough.
It's tough.
It's
My
one of those
dad
things
passed away, and it's tough.
it pulls at your heartstrings, But, I had the same situation my dad did on Old Country Club Road, the house he grew up in. And I told him, I said, look, you'd be better off, sometimes it's better off to sell it, make a clean break, and let another family go make memories in it, right? I mean, that's kind of what I'm thinking on it. So I see.
That's right.
Brad, do you mind approaching with that information that he just said? And
Yeah, like I say, this property's been vacant. Last known water was February of 22 on this property. City has come in and cut the grass a couple of times. Like I say, as you can see, it needs paint. It needs, needs a lot of love for what it needs. But like I say, the vines that's growing on the property, there are neighbors that are complaining on it, I mean, they're trying to keep up their home values too, but yeah, like I say, you can see the paint, the rotten wood that needs to be replaced.
in light of him discussing with us about selling the property, what's your recommendation to the board if he's looking for a seller at this time.
Right, I would recommend that the board adjudicate, give him 45 days to get the
Revisit.
property sold or make the repairs and bring it into compliance.
And Mr. Ratcliffe, like I said before, for the person before, that's our standard measure of what we try to do to be, again, fair and equitable to each person that approaches the board. So 45 days to get some movement on it. All right, that's your recommendation, Brad?
Yes.
All right. Is anyone here to speak in opposition to that? If not, is there a motion? Make a motion. All right, there's 2 motions on the floor. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Brad, again, just like I said before, let's make sure that we communicate properly with Mr. Ratcliffe. That way we're all on the same page. Everybody's rowing in the boat in the same direction.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, man. Thank you, Mr. Ratcliffe.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, sir.
General business, one Angela Ransom Pool Facial Year 2023 audit.
Get back to the school, have that supplies. Go back to school, have that supplies. Oh, we got 2 of them?
All you want is
Keep checking those out. Hey, Angela, how are you? All right, this is, again, Miss Angela Hartzog. She's our private auditor. The state requires us to have an audit done each year. And Ms. Hartzog's been with us for some time, so she's pretty familiar with Pearl's humble beginnings 7 years ago and what we are today. So I'll let her have the floor and move forward.
I want to thank y'all for allowing me to be here tonight, and I want to just say that the financials look great. We were very excited when we finally finished the numbers from the new lease transactions to finally get the final numbers. I did want to say we don't have any changes on findings. We still have the original finding that's just retiree insurance that we've talked about for 7 years on that.
So let me stop you there. For some of our new guys, new aldermen, that's consistent with every city in the state. Every city in the state has that finding. That's in PERS.
Yes. And so it's a GASB regulation, and it's very, very expensive to hire an actuary, and the way that everybody bills is that to get the finding is much easier than trying to pay an actuarial firm to do a complete actuarial study for a few people that get retiree insurance. So that's just, it's more of a book entry, but it's something we have to put in there. So I did want to kind of talk about that just a little bit on the front end, but no other findings. We did find some recommendations on reporting that we're going to have a meeting next week just to talk about going forward that make things a lot easier to do the audit and a lot faster internally to get financials. So I have built a platform this year within our software that will allow me, once the numbers are finished for the city, to be able to produce a preliminary financial report pretty much instantly. And so that's something I worked on for a long time this year, but wanted to get that where the mayor is always wanting immediate numbers, and it will allow us to at least get a really good preliminary number up front. So I did want to throw that out there. I think that's going to be great, especially on the fund level. I want to just go through, I really want to just hit it, I know it's late, I just want to hit a few items that I feel like are really, really important. I want to go to page 7. This is the governmental activities level, so this has all the PERS calculations, all, full accrual, everything in here that is a liability or an asset. And you have almost a $47 million net position at the end of the year for governmental activities, which is great. I mean, that's after you've recorded your PERS liability, so that's a really, really good net position. You've got $5.5 million in business type activities, which is water and sewer. So I wanted to show you that first because that's after every accrual entry is made to be in accordance with GASB. So that's huge for that. And then I want to move over because the mayor, he likes to look at everything on the fund level individually. So I'm going to move over to page 11. And I want to talk about the general fund. If you look, it had a $4.2 million increase in fund balance for the year. That brings your fund balance just for general fund to $18.4 million. When I started doing the audit, I think you were around $900,000. Is that correct? Fair?
Negative 900,000.
Yes. So it is now 18.4 million positive on just the general fund balance. And then I want to talk about the other. You've got debt service fund. It had a $500,000 fund balance at the end of the year. And then American Rescue Plan, if you notice that particular fund, it had a negative change in fund balance of 1.5 million, but that's because it's a special project fund, and it had 6 million in fund balance at the beginning of the year and still has almost 5 at the end. So I did want to say that's planned that way for that project and has to be separated in a fund by itself. Same thing with street bond, but you still have $500,000 left at the end of the year in that fund. And then other governmental funds, which are all the rest of them, you had 11.9, almost $12 million of fund balance for a total of 36.4 million at the end of the year. It's really a lot of progress. So it's first year cutting expenses, and then also all the projects that have gone on have really, really helped the fund balance. And then I want to move over and just go to page 15. I'm just trying to hit the high notes on this because I know it's a lot of pages. The change in net position across the board for all enterprise funds was a positive $283,000 for the year. You had water and sewer, $276,000, and then the water sewer improvements fund, $7,000. So everything positive all the way across. And then on page 16, that's the cash flows just for the water sewer and water sewer improvements fund, and it was positive cash flows for the year all the way across the board on that at $131,000. And then one area that I want to go to and just hit a couple of things that I've recommended on page 29. These are the capital assets, and I have made a recommendation to Kelly and Twyla and Linda that I really believe that Pearl is at the point where they really need a system to keep up with their depreciation that is at a higher level than just using Excel. I mean, it's just a recommendation I made. That's a management decision, but it has grown so much since I've been here that the fixed assets are very, very difficult to keep up with just using Excel spreadsheets. I mean, because it's every item that the city owns that is required to be capitalized. And I just really think maybe investing in some type of fixed asset software would really, really help with that and save time for your employees as well. Just so it's just something I've said. It's fine what we've been using. It works, but it's extremely time consuming in-house as well as when we do the audit, and especially with the new lease standard. So that this year there are approximately, I tried to count today, I think approximately 60 leases, and with the new standards there's a whole lot of compliance work that goes into that, and I think with those two things it's just one of the recommendations I make that would make it easier for everybody, all the way around.
Are there a couple of softwares out there that you can make a recommendation to our IT director?
I do not have any recommendations.
You don't?
I just know that you need one. So,
Okay.
and I
All
think
right.
that maybe your
All right,
software probably offers that type addition to it, that you could use. So,
Okay.
but I don't have software because that's not my area of expertise. But I do think that it would help so much just with producing reports and being able to produce them more timely.
Is that why this is so late?
Yes. the lease liabilities and the lease assets and the fixed assets. Because with the lease, and we're gonna have a meeting just to improve the, reporting on the lease assets, because we ended up going in and creating all those adjustments, but I think there's a better way with these schedules. So we're having a meeting next Friday here to go over the changes I recommend to help with that, and let it be throughout the year and immediately when the year ends instead of later, you know, just.
Angela, sorry to interrupt, but you're seeing audits throughout the state later this year because, can you explain the Gatsby rules and some of the regulations that they have imposed on cities has made it more stringent?
Yes, I mean, and what's happening because this lease standard is so difficult, you're seeing so many auditors and accountants just not even wanting to do it. Like, we've actually been hired to just implement the lease standard for several companies because it's such a huge undertaking. And I know y'all probably remember we talking about it last year because we had the implementation last year, but then this year you've added more leases. And what goes into it, it's a book entry, and, you know, it's something that they've pushed down from the Gatsby. And it's not something, in my opinion, it doesn't make a huge difference on bottom line, but it's a new standard that they require for all government. So to say I agree with it, I think it's a lot of work for a minimal amount of numbers, because we've always had a lease standard, but this one just extended to every lease. You know, we had capital leases and we had operating leases, and this standard has just changed everything for cities, you know, and also counties and private businesses as well. And it's just been a huge implementation, especially the larger you are. So Pearl is, you know, very large city, and there's so many leases, and it's just shocking how long it takes to put all this together. And then also, we do have a prior period adjustment that was to the good for this, but there were 3 additional leases that were signed at the end of the prior year, but we didn't have copies because the payments, we didn't know they were there because the payments hadn't started yet. You know, so you can't pick those up in the books. And then this year when we started going through and asking for additional leases, we had 3 new ones that were actually dated kind of at the year before. And so that, but it improved your bottom line, so that was good because it wasn't, you know, an expense for the year. It would actually end up being an asset. So we, it's just all across the board. It's very, very difficult with this standard. And we actually, I talked with the mayor, had a meeting with him when we started the field work, because when we saw the 60 leases, we're like, we're gonna have to implement software to help us calculate all of these amounts. And so we did, you know, per lease, and that, it just is a lot of time to do that. And, you know, I've recommended to some, I'm like, you know, maybe you should just buy everything because then you don't have the lease standard, you know, if you don't have that. But if you even have an operating lease for a copier and you have 10 of them, you know, if you have one, it may not meet the criteria for the standard because of the dollar amount. But if you have 10 copier leases, you're probably going to have to do the lease standard. So it's just because we asked that question with the state auditor's office, because last year I went through all the calculations and my bottom line number just, I really didn't feel like it was material. So I called them and I said, you know, can you tell me what y'all are doing? Because when I get through all these calculations, the number's not that large. And they said if you have, their rule is if you have a group of leases and the value of the equipment is at least $100,000, then you have to implement the standard. Because the standard doesn't have a materiality limit, but they came up with that kind of internally. And I wanted that documentation from them, you know, before we went and did all that work. So that's kind of, it's a long story, but that's why on all that. And in this one page here on page 29, you just would not believe the number of schedules that go into that. I would probably say 200 pages to just, or maybe more, just to do that one schedule there. So there's a lot involved. So that is one of the reasons. And if you look on page 31, I mean, these were just additional requirements from that lease, and it goes through and shows you lease by lease and which ones you have. And y'all even have the leases where y'all lease land. So then that's even a longer lease because they have 40-year terms. So it's not something that's 5 years and it's going to go away. So, you know, that complicates it a lot too. And then I want to go over, I like to just go over on page 35. These are just your additions. The only additions that you had to debt this year were leases. So that was, one of the items that you didn't incur a lot of debt and you paid off a lot. So you ended up adding 12 million and then you paid off 5. You know, but the 12 million includes the 7.5 million of pension liability. So that, and that was an increase in that for this year. Y'all know that number changes from year to year depending on the actuarial computations. And then I want to go back and just talk about single audit, and then I will be finished. I want to go back and go over just the schedule of federal funds that y'all had for the year. That's going to be page 56. You had 10.8 million in federal expenditures. Of course, the majority of that is the highway planning and construction at 7.8 million. Then you had some American Rescue Plan Act of 1.1 million for the year, and another 1.5 from the American Rescue Plan Act. So those were your major expenditures this year, which both of those are major programs that we audited as major. Didn't have any findings for those. So does anybody have any questions? I know it's a lot there to digest, but those are the things I just really wanted to point out that were the major items. And like I said, we're going to meet next Friday and just talk about ways on these leases and these capital assets. And also on the internal books on some journal entries that I'm proposing to make the financial reporting easier.
Does anyone have any questions? Yeah, that's a lot of reasons to celebrate. I mean, I'll say this for the board too. There's some things, we've had good people surround us, good people like Angela and people on staff to help us, and I can say previous boards that contributed as well, but you know, providentially, God's been very good to the city of Pearl. So, I mean, to grow from a fund balance to a positive 18 million, that's unbelievable. We've never been at that level in the history of the city. So, anyway, we're very proud of that, and we appreciate all the work that you do.
Well, I thank you, and I think a lot of it is on y'all with the improvements, all the grants and things that you've been able to get and all the improvements that you've been able to make. I mean, it's just remarkable, so I commend y'all for that, too.
Thank you for your time, Angela, and all the hard work. We really appreciate you.
Thank you, and next year we're going to be more on time without
That's
the
right.
late, since that's been implemented.
We'll figure out I'll find out about the software.
Well, also, we're going to implement some procedures for obtaining leases as you sign them or change them.
And I'll get Kelly to
That'll
sign
help.
this when she gets back.
Okay.
I've already signed this. So.
Okay, well, if you sign it, just one board member. I have to have
Okay,
one board
all right,
member
that's fine.
sign. Yeah,
I'll
because it
sign
has
it.
to be a governing member.
Okay, all right, well, we'll approve this and I'll give it to you.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
All right. So at this time, I need a motion to approve fiscal year 2023 audit. Second, further discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Don't believe we have a person to adjourn in memory of this evening. So at this time, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved. Second. All in favor say aye. Aye. The ayes have it. This meeting adjourned. Y'all have a good evening. Well, she said,